issue of social equity, social justice, and making sure that development is inclusive and we are looking after the common man. How do we ensure that we don't end up building cities that are only for the middle class or the rich?
What if we go through? I'm also part of government.
Okay.
Well, one of the good things that we've done in Ogun State is we have an inclusive team, like Shego said, and there are actually 4 major players in the urban sector in Ogun State. You've got the Ministry of Housing, you've got the Housing Corporation, you've got OPIC, you've got the Bureau of Lands. Actually, there are 5. Then you've got the Ministry of Fiscal Planning itself. And one of the mandates that the SNC, the government, gave to us is that we must cater for everybody. So every development we have are designed to be inclusive. Now, in order for those developments to be viable, you've got to be able to make money from them. That's where, like you said, an OPIC comes in. You've got to create projects that you can sell. However, you also have the Housing Corporation coming into that same area. You've got the Ministry of Housing in that same area, creating social housing, creating subsidized housing. For instance, the government is currently working on a workers' estate at Ladere, where we're building over 1,000 houses for the public.
Let me interrupt you, Jide, and please permit me. That's fantastic, 1,000 houses in social housing, but how do we ensure that some of the lessons from history are not lost? There are some excellent examples that we have, especially in Western Nigeria. There's Bodija Estate that was developed by the Western region in the 50s and 60s, and it's a mixed income neighborhood. So you have, palatial homes for the practically royalty, as well as 1 bed, 1.5 bed, 2 bed homes, all in a mixed income neighborhood, which ensures that there's a bit of social harmony. I researched this a bit. I understand that this is something that we've learned from the British. The British do this brilliantly, and internationally they're some of the best at ensuring that they develop neighborhoods in a way that they develop mixed income neighborhoods. Yeah. So there's social housing along with luxury housing. And, there's going to be a tour at the end of this program. Yes. One of the places you're going to tour is actually a location where OPIC is building what we call the Orange Valley Estate, which is the middle income earner. And right across from us is Plainfields, which is for the lower to middle income earning stream. Okay. So that's just tell us how Ogun State is doing it and how Ogun State has integrated this thinking into the development strategy. Well, that's what the point has been to you, because for every development, we've already planned, like Shego said, and we've understood what our market is, what the people can afford, and what we need to create to make that environment sustainable. So when we start any development, we actually have allocations in that location for the lower to middle income earning stream, the middle income earning stream, and then for the high end. So that she's explaining about Metro City. Metro City is not for what you could call the haves alone. We're going to have social housing there. We're going to have middle income housing there. We're going to have retail outlets for people like Chidi to come and invest in there. And we're going to also have other opportunities for Renaissance to bring in the big players you spoke about into that same sector. But see, one thing that is very important is that, like someone said earlier on, money is not sentimental. Capital will change where there is opportunity and where you can get returns. We recognize that government is not meant to be a business. But government cannot be business to business alone if we want to take care of our people. So we look at every single opportunity and we ask ourselves, how do we cater for our people, cater for business, and make that place sustainable? Because, as she said, we're not planning for today, we're not planning for 8 years, we're planning for the next 25, 30 years. And that's the model we're applying in Metro City, that's the model we're applying in Abeokuta, that's what we're doing in Agbara today.
I think, okay, that's great. We're talking about a few thousand homes. I thought what we were here to talk about was accelerated industrial and economic development. And that really means talking about, if we think about the global housing or the Nigerian housing deficit, 17 million homes. Ogun State has probably at least 5 million homes. So we're still a long way from there. Ogun State needs to proactively engage with its partners, long-term partners. From a finance perspective, these are the development agencies and some of the national pension funds. I mentioned a couple. I'm happy to sit down with people and go through them. When they do this, then there's some bankable projects around housing, for example, that can be done, where people will bring in funds. These kind of investors have dual purpose as well, so interest is aligned. Ogun State will get its accelerated development by continuing to think, I should say, because it's certainly there today, continuing to think about all spectrum of society. They just need to find partners who think the same way. And this is where those kind of investors, the development agencies, the sovereign wealth funds, who have massively deep pockets, they're prepared to look at risk in a slightly different way. They do have a long-term view. They will they will challenge you. The PIC, for example, the South African Pension Fund, they have 151 billion. They've dedicated $7 billion to sub-Saharan Africa. The bulk of that could come to Nigeria. We're trying to find projects for these people. And with those kind of funds, they will challenge you about what you're doing to create economic development, what you're doing to cater for the poor, as well as looking at the objectives to make money. So there are partners out there, there are projects that you have already, and we just need to think about moving it to a completely different scale.
Thank you very much. We are almost out of time, so I'd like to take a few questions for the panelists if there are.
Can you see them? Okay, let me help you then. This one, housing scheme by private firms and even government are unaffordable due to cost of materials. Could investors suggest types of building technology used in the Western world to be introduced in Ogun State Urban Renewal Scheme? Sulaiman Fasasi.
Any takers?
Investors, let me take that. It's not necessarily an investor question, but I do know that there is a very good technology now that's come out, which uses panels, steel casing, and cement to build very efficient, low-income housing. It works very, very well. It's worked very well in developing countries. It's being rolled out. Some companies are using it in Nigeria already, and the potential for that is great. The one thing that it does, because the technology is so easy to understand, what happens is you can roll this out and localize the development, or rather the rollout of the plans, and therefore create employment immediately, and then have local companies very quickly taking on the projects themselves and doing them.
Yes. Actually, Actors actually invested in a company called MFP Formwork, Migrant Far East, which actually has Formwork technology that should speed and lower the cost of construction for residential homes. So we actually do have that, and we can introduce that if that becomes necessary. But one key point to note is that the materials are not the only factor that determine whether or not a house is affordably priced. You know, the land cost is critical, of course, but importantly as well is the development execution approach. So unfortunately right now in this market, we as Actors have tried to find development groups that we can back, that can develop hopefully thousands of homes. But there are very few groups in this market that can consistently develop even over 100 homes on an annual basis, which is a really, really poor number compared to Mexico, where it was like a million homes per annum delivered. So the whole ecosystem for the housing delivery at this time is broken. So the land costs too high, typically, wrong location. The titling is a problem to ensure that an investor is comfortable. The development execution is poor because there are very few developers who actually understand how to develop housing in almost a factory style, disciplined, repeatable, and aggressive process, essentially. Otherwise, they'll just keep milling around every year, developing 15 homes, 50 here, wait another 2 years and do another set. So we have to fix that whole ecosystem, which of course includes the mortgage financing, which should also help to make it more affordable. So the whole chain is broken, And investors like us are very reluctant to put money into housing projects